Hey guys, I just thought I'd cover this this Q&A whilst doing my morning cardio. It's a misty morning in Queensbury, but gorgeous all the same. So I just thought I'd go through a few. First one on the list, and it was asked by a couple of people actually, is why do I give my clients Cocoa Pops so much in the diets? So it can be controversial, this. It is a big thing in the bodybuilding world right now. I wanted to give you the reason that I do it and the scientific reason as well. So we'll start with the scientific reason. When you train, you deplete your body's stores of glycogen. So the job after you've trained is to replenish these stores. And the quickest way to do this is by using a high glycemic carb. So it doesn't have to be a Cocoa Pop. It can be anything. Ideally, you want it to be a low-fat, high glycemic carb. So you could choose jelly sweets. You know, you could have a pick and mix. You could go Rice Krispie Squares. They're always a good one. Jamaican ginger cake, believe it or not. Golden Virginia cake. Bagel with jam. Crumpets with jam. The possibilities are endless. Now, is this to say that this needs to be there? No, it doesn't need to be there. But there's a few scenarios where I think it's important to be there. So say you've got a client, let's just take a 200-pound male for argument's sake who needs to get 3,500 calories in a day. Are these calories going to go down? One, they're going to digest brilliantly because the body's needing them, so it's going to use them. But two, they're going to go down a lot easier straight after the workout, and a lot easier than maybe say a bowl of porridge or chicken and potatoes, say. Now, if that same client is dieting for a show or is in prep and he's very hungry all the time and needs filling, now this is a different scenario. Do we take the Cocoa Pops out? Do we take the high glycemic carbs out? And do we choose something that's going to fill in more? So that's when you maybe would turn to maybe the bowl of porridge, or let's say straight in with a bowl of chicken and rice. But from my personal experience, it doesn't need pulling at all. I would keep my cereals in to get to any sort of body fat. Enjoy them, keeps me on plan, which is my next point. So a lot of my, let's say, people who are not into bodybuilding, I still put them on this high glycemic carb. And why is my reasoning for doing this? So my main reason for doing this is for diet longevity. So if I set someone a plan and it's chicken and broccoli or fish and broccoli, fish and rice cakes, and that's all they have all day long, how long do we think that this person is going to take before they break and binge, eat shit, get bad relationships with food? Because my guess is, with the average person, shut up! My guess with the average person is maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops. I want my clients and myself to be able to follow a routine. I don't want to say diet. It's not always called diet. I want my clients to be able to follow this for 365 days of the year without struggling. So that being said, what's more important? Having something in the diet like a Rice Krispie Square bar, bowl of Cocoa Pops, a bagel with jam, crumpet with jam, every day, or every training day, or having to wait for the weekend and absolutely binge the hell out on the chocolate and stuff that they couldn't have. My thoughts are, and it's not just my thoughts, this is scientific fact, a calorie is a calorie. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. So if you want to include certain foods in your diet, then go ahead, just have a reason for it. Right, I better move on to my next one. That's quite an in-depth answer. Let's have a quick look. Do you go for a pump in the gym, or is it better to get strong? Right then. So, it definitely 100% depends on your goal, this one. If your goal, and to be honest, I'd say that this should be 80% of people's goal, stepping into the gym, and obviously unless they've got something that they want to specifically train for. But if your goal is to put on muscle mass, lean body mass of course, and that's the reason that you are choosing to weight train, then I would 100% say that progressive overload, which I'll go into, is the way to go. It's the only way to go. So what that means is that to the question, I would say that the pump is 100% the least important thing. If I left the gym and I hadn't got a single pump, but I had PB'd on my bench press, I'd got under that squat bar, I PB'd on that, I PB'd on the deadlift, I know that my body has got to adapt by building tissue because I've got stronger. Now, that doesn't mean, when I say strength, that doesn't mean that you've got to stay in the strength rep range. I think that you've got to get strong in all rep ranges. So always log your lifts. That's a massive, massive must. You need to know exactly what you're doing from day to day, week to week, so that you can look back and look back at last month and say, oh, I beat that by nine reps this month. You know, I've increased the weight this month on that by X amount. You know, this is progressive overload, and it's as simple as that. And there's 3 ways that you can beat your lifts. That's by reps, weight, and by the actual technique and skill of it. So say you hit 10 reps at 60 kilo, let's just give an example, on a given exercise. And then the week after you hit 10 again, but you hit it under absolute precision and great control. That's a PB, and that's progressive overload. So the pump, when I would say it is important, is towards the end, obviously. Once you've got your compound and your big movements out of the way, it is good to go on to things like, for argument's sake, if we're going on a push day, you've got your bench out of the way, you've got your overhead press out of the way, and then we're going to go on to a fly. I do think that there is definitely a lot of use in throwing like a drop set in, for argument's sake, at the end of this, at the end of your set. Keeping control, precision with the execution of the exercises. But yeah, towards the end of the workout, I think filling the muscles with blood definitely massively has its benefits, but do not chase the pump. Right, let's see what question 3 is. Look at this for a hill. We're not built for this, guys. Right. The best foods to eat for fat loss. I'm going to tie this in with question 4 as well. The best exercises for losing belly fat. The answer to this is that they are both the same, in the sense that to get both of those results, there isn't a best exercise, there isn't a best diet. The diet that takes into account your energy balance is always going to be the one that works. So that being said, in layman's terms, so your energy balance is basically, without going into too much detail, what you burn and use in a day. So the steps that you do, the calories that you just burn for just being alive, the the calories you burn from exercise. You know, this all plays a big role. And without working this out, you can't work it out on a calculator. I don't care what anyone says with this. You can't just go on the internet, type in some figures, and that's that. It's just absolute bullshit. You can get a rough estimate, and I think it's a great place to start, but you've got to trial and error. So, in my opinion, you have 100% got to adhere to a diet, stick to a set amount of calories for a period of at least 2 to 3 weeks, so we know where weight's going, what your energy's like on that, just in general, how you're feeling, how you're performing. I think that gives you a good idea and a good rule of thumb, and I think this is a good reason that a lot of people need a coach. A lot of people will say, I've plateaued on my diet. In fact, that's one of the questions on my next Q&A. I've plateaued on my diet. Why won't it go anywhere? 9 times out of 10, you've been eating too little calories for too long. So you've got this result where it's just all falling off, and then it slows off and you've got to do even more, and you're beating yourself into the ground. Now, that's one of the reasons, again, I'll bring this up on another video. That's one of the other reasons why I look to push my clients' calories high, because it's no fun being in that zone where you've got to drop your calories so low, which again is so person dependent, it's unbelievable. When you've got to drop your calories ridiculously low, that is really, really not a great time. It's awful. Anyone who saw me prepping for my show would know that was absolutely vile, and I looked ill. I was and felt ill. Walking up the stairs was horrible. Now I know that this time round, that because I've pushed my calories, I mean on some days I'm touching 5,000, that if this is done slow and correct now, I should definitely not have to go as low as what I did last time. So there's definitely something to be said about pushing those calories high, which relates back to one of the other videos that I did. Pushing the calories high in order to, when you do bring them down, that L's done by the way. When you do bring the calories down, you do it gradual, you do it slow, and you'll find that you don't have to go to the depths that you do. I mean, the depths I did have to go to, just to give you an insight, I was doing 1 hour and 45 minutes on the Stairmaster. I was eating no carbs, which I probably wouldn't ever do again, but you live and learn. I was well into a calorie deficit, and I'm hoping that I never have to go there again to get in shape. So, to the 2 questions, there's no best exercise, there's no best diet. It's finding out what works for you, what macro split works for you even. Now, all macro splits will work, and macros being protein, carbs and fats, and how you decide to have them. So how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat, how many grams of carbs. What I would say, a good rule of thumb, is keep your protein at a pretty consistent level and mess about with your carbs and fats. Everyone is suited different. So you might react really well to a high carb diet. You might digest the food brilliantly, feel great on it. Your weight's staying around the same, or whatever your goal is at the time. Or you might respond really well to really low carb and really high fat. But without trying this for yourself, you're never going to know. I don't like high fat, low carb. I've tried it many a time. I have brain fog. I can never get out of that. My performance in the gym's rubbish. Now, is that to be said that that's a bad diet? No, it's not a bad diet. It's a bad diet for me. There's too much of this that goes around in this industry where people will say, oh, what diet do you follow? What do you do? And yes, it's great trying to get advice, but try stuff for yourself. That is so important. And that is kind of why I'm against a lot of these groups, and like I'm not going to mention any names, I mean these national groups and whatnot, where literally you're just given a set amount of calories and you've got to eat it, and I could be the same weight as, bloody Big Brian next door, let's say, and we'd be on the same amount of calories, so there's nothing taken into account. Anyway, I will mention that topic again at some point, but I'll get through a few more of these before I have to leave it. Well, the third question actually was FAD diets and what I think on them. It's a hard one, really. It depends what you class as a fad, so how many mini eggs you can fit up your nose in a week. I don't know. I don't know. Every diet is different. Again, I would always say try it, but one thing I will say is that when you do try a diet, give it time. Don't just stick to it and say, oh well, I did 2 weeks. I had a skinful of beer in between, but it hasn't worked for me. That has not given you any time. You've got to stick to it. If you're going to do something, you've got to at least give it a bit of a go. With my clients, I don't expect them to adhere to the plan even 90% of the time. As long as they're hitting maybe that 80 mark and they're living a normal life, I'm happy. If someone comes to me, obviously, and says, I want prepping for a show, or I want to do this, want to do that, that's different. You have really got to flip the switch then, and you've got to get yourself in a great position, meaning that you're hitting every meal perfect, this, that. But I won't go into that either. But yeah, in terms of fad diets, I obviously don't agree with them. But my main reason is because I find people yo-yo with them. They try it, that don't work, but they haven't tried it properly. And then they're on to another one, and it's just a bad way to go. What I would always say to anyone who asks me is, eat what the hell you want, but fit it within your calories. If you want to choose, I'm not saying this is great, if you want to choose to eat a Big Mac every day, eat it, fit it within your calories. It's up to you. I'm not saying that's the healthiest way to go, but if your goal's fat loss, it's up to you how you do it. Right, last question, and then I will turn this off, and I'll do a part 2 as well, because I've got a few more that I want to get through. Fasted cardio, is it needed? And does it need to be fasted? My opinion on this is no, it doesn't need to be fasted. If that's not doable for you, I've done it at times where I've done it, for argument's sake, late on a night. I've missed it in the morning, or I've got up and not been able to be arsed at all, which 9 times out of 10, I'd like to say that I just forced myself to do it, but feeling poorly or feeling sick or whatnot, and I've thought, I'll do it on a night. It's still fine. I would say that morning cardio is definitely what I would firstly advise to do, and there's a few reasons for it. One, yes, because you haven't eaten anything, you're tapping straight into your fat stores, which is obviously perfect to be doing. But again, that being said, does that need to happen? Because your body you eat a set amount of calories over 24 hours, say. Your body's not a clock, it doesn't know at what point it needs to burn what, so that's the argument against that. One thing I would say, and why I do it myself and why I do advocate it to clients, I think it's absolutely fantastic for your headspace. You're getting up in the morning, you know what you're doing, you're getting out of bed, black coffee, straight out. Your head, your mental space, you can listen to a podcast, listen to me. You can do whatever you want in that time, that's your time. You're getting out, enjoying some fresh air, or if it means that you're getting to the gym and you're on the exercise bike, whatever, you listen to some music, plan your day while you're doing it. Really get yourself into a really good headspace, and you find that the day flows a lot better. It's called creating routine. I do like to get out in the open air. A lot of my cardio for my prep and what have you was spent on the Stairmaster and in the gym, and yeah, that does get grueling. Getting out and just getting to some nice places and looking over some nice views. I feel like there's no better start to the day, to be honest. So I would definitely recommend getting out early morning if you can. I think, as I say, it just starts your day off perfectly. Anyway, I'll leave you with some lovely views of Queensbury. With it, the Raggles. Can't nip in for a pint, unfortunately. No, thank you guys. Any questions that you do want answering, I'll try to do it. And if I haven't answered them in kind of, I don't want to, anyone who's kind of watching this, I don't want to confuse them with jargon. So anything that anyone doesn't understand, someone pulled me up on what macros are the other day. Anything that anyone doesn't understand, I'm more than happy to go over. You know, please don't think that you can't ask that. If you've heard something and you think you understand it, but you don't understand it, then it's a bit of pointless information, isn't it? So please ask me, and I'll always answer. And yeah, I will get the second part of this question and answer done. And hope you've enjoyed it. Peace out, guys.